Hey, Shannon, can you hear me? Totally thought I sent you the rundown. Dave just said to me, he goes, well, I didn't get a rundown from you. I make them, I print them, and then I send them. So Spurs game and thunderstorms and tornadoes, I guess, threw me off. So my apology.
Did you get the email I sent?
I did. Yeah, that's how I got into this. So, yeah, thank you. Yeah, because I wasn't getting an email from you. I thought, well, either she's running late or maybe there's weather. So it's because I didn't send the rundown. So, yeah, I like your high five. That makes more sense. John Williams, good morning. Threw me off. Oh, great. Now I'm getting my own feedback. Let's do that. Okay, now Hector Gomez, good morning. Don't think so, Richard.
Now, Chris Duel.
It is Christmas morning for you draft freaks like me, to a greater extent, like our good friend Tanner Carlson, who's going to tell us everybody the Cowboys are going to pick coming up. Lots going on. Lots of us recovering from a rainy, stormy night, which featured some tornadoes here and there. Hopefully, everybody listening in South and Central Texas made it through the night unscathed. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Shannon, how was your stormy night? Was it stormy where you were?
It was certainly stormy and still very rainy on my way in. I kind of like it, though. I find it to be soothing when I'm sleeping. Unless it wakes my dog up, because once she's up, there's no turning back.
Long as everybody's safe, and luckily, for some reason, power outages love me wherever I stay. You know, sometimes I spend some time, you know, I'm one of the caregivers for my mom. So some nights I'm there, some nights I'm home. Wherever I wind up, that's usually where the power outage is. And I talked to my sister who lives in Leon Valley. Did you have a power outage? We did. Nope, nothing here. So I think it's just me.
You just need to carry a generator with you wherever you go.
That's a good idea. That's a very, very, very good idea. So anyway, we hope everybody listening, hope you're doing okay. And apparently we're not done with the rain and maybe the storms today. Apparently they're going to continue today. And I hear, Shannon, even, you know, maybe even a greater chance of at least rain for Friday and into the weekend. I don't like hearing that.
No, I don't like hearing that, because I actually have fun plans scheduled this weekend, which is rare for me. I'm really excited about the weekend because I get to stay home and avoid people. But I have plans to go out, and so I'd like it to not rain. I'd like it to be like last weekend, which was wonderful.
Well, hopefully that will be the case. Can you reveal what your fun plans are?
A crawfish boil. I don't eat crawfish. I don't eat seafood. So I've requested that there be like a hot dog or hamburger there for me. I think there'll be some. There were some last time, which is why I made the request again.
What is your aversion to seafood? Why don't you eat seafood?
I just don't like the taste. I think I got it from my dad, who was born and raised in Galveston, which is an island, and there's lots of seafood, and people there love seafood, and he was not one of those people.
My goodness. Wow. I love seafood. Interesting. Well, we must also introduce, I am where I should have worn some kind of a NFL draft.
Yeah,
t-shirt.
I threw on a Texas hat today, and I was like, well, I probably could have done. I'm wearing, this is my thought, because my hat is DBU, which is Defensive Back University. So I am Texas, but I'm also very much into the secondary, which is where the Cowboys need the most help. So I'm going to flip it into that narrative.
Very, very nice. Yeah, I was going to wear my Tank for Trevor t-shirt, which I do have, and I have worn on the show many times, but I thought, it's already been done. So Astros won again last night. Astros continue to be on a roll. So we'll talk a little Astros maybe a little bit later, but wearing a St. Louis Cardinals t-shirt is the one and only Soundscape stylist, Dave Ayler. Dave Ayler, what is up?
Chris, how you doing? And I'm with Shannon. Seafood sucks.
Seafood, my goodness. I'm with two anti-seafood people here.
I'll sit out there and catch the fish all day, but I won't clean it and I won't eat it.
So you do go fishing.
Yeah.
You like fishing, but you don't want to eat it.
No,
you just want to kill fish.
And
you don't want to ingest them.
I've tried every kind of fish that's ever been put in front of me, and I've hated them all. I've had swordfish, bass,
oh my God,
redfish,
Alaskan king crab.
Crab I can take in small doses.
Or lobster, you dip it in butter sauce.
Lobster in very small doses.
Okay.
I like lobster bisque, but please take out the lobster. I just like the bisque part.
Wow. See, when Shannon said that, I've heard of people before who don't like seafood, but I thought, gosh, that's rare. But no, I'm not numbered 2-1 by seafood haters.
We're getting messages that crawfish is not a seafood. It's from the water. There you go. No, thank you.
Yeah, I call it seafood too.
Stop. Don't tell me it tastes like chicken. Give me fried chicken.
It doesn't.
Just give me fried chicken.
Well, and look at John Williams in all caps, like he's angry at you. Crawfish is not a seafood.
It's you're right. It's worse.
It's a mini lobster.
It's the roaches of the water.
Oh,
They're water bugs.
The water bugs, the roaches of the water. Wow.
Nasty.
Yikes.
And y'all eat that.
Yes.
Straight out of its head and everything. No. Pass. Hard pass.
Tough crowd when it comes to seafood. We do want to mention this a few times during the morning, and we will. We got you covered for the draft right here. Wherever you're listening to this program, whether you're listening on AM 1300 The Zone or on Ticket 760, the NFL draft will be right here, 7 o'clock tonight after the Mike Taylor Show. Fox Sports coverage beginning at 7. It is anchored by Fox NFL insider Jay Glazer, as well as Fox Sports NFL play-by-play announcer Kevin Burkhardt is on board, NFL cornerback Bucky Brooks, and 3-time Pro Bowler LeVar Arrington. So we have got you covered on the NFL draft. And Shannon, with Tanner coming in, we've kicked around some ideas, and I think I've settled on one that's easy. Yeah, we do some kind of a friendly competition. I think it's not fair. Tanner's a total Rain Man NFL draft freak. He lives it. It's his life. He lives for it. So I think Tanner would, if we said each of us pick the entire first round and you get a point or whatever if you score on a team, still wouldn't be fair. So here's what I'm thinking, Shannon. We'll pick very simple. Who will the Cowboys select? And we'll have you go first. So obviously if you say Patrick Surtain, neither Tanner nor I can go there. And we all know Tanner wants the Horn kid out of South Carolina for the Cowboys. I don't know that will be his selection.
I feel like as you're saying this, I'm going to go Patrick Surtain. You're going to go Kyle Pitts, and he's going to go JC Horn.
See, that's what you think, and that's what's probable. But just like the NFL draft, anything can happen. You never know. And since you think I'm going Kyle Pitts, maybe I'll
Also,
go.
I'm wondering if it's a trick question because your name display today on our video feed, which we always stream the show on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, and you can also find those links on Twitter. Your name display today says "Trade Up, Jarrah." So I'm wondering if you're leading this with who will the Cowboys take at number 10, and then your trick response will be no one because you think they will trade up and or trade back.
You're much more cerebral than I am. I wouldn't have even thought that through, but that's good. That would be a good Vulcan mind trick or a Zen master switcheroo.
It's draft day. It's all about overanalyzing.
Exactly.
We've been doing it for months, and especially this last week where everyone's like, information's being leaked. Certain teams behind the scenes, they're leaking information. They're asking other people to leak information.
So no, we will. That's a great idea, though. That would have been fun. I could have said no one because they're going to trade up. So no, we'll say who will the Cowboys' top pick be is how we'll phrase it. And and we cannot duplicate picks. So you will pick, Tanner will pick, and then maybe if Kyle Pitts is there and neither of you, I might just go Penei Sewell though. It might be all about Dak. Well, so would Kyle Pitts, but it might be trade up for Penei. Who knows? That would be possible. But so if you're not watching the draft on TV, or if you are and you still want different perspective because you just get sick of Mel Kiper Jr.
Which I think we all do a little bit.
It's a little.
It comes on strong and fast, and it's too much all at once.
It's a little tired after all these years. But you gotta. I'm so old. I remember when Mel Kiper Jr. first kind of showed up on ESPN, like way back. Like at the dawn of ESPN. And this guy, just like Tanner, loved the NFL draft, created his own niche, made himself his own expert. And now everybody looks to him and his opinions and his mock draft. So that's kind of, good for you. Follow your bliss, as Joseph Campbell used to preach. So why the heck not? So, but no, I'm a little tired of him.
I saw him because he's everywhere lately.
Yeah.
On an interview saying he's never gone to the bathroom and he barely eats.
Ooh, during the draft.
I'm not that committed. Y'all can hold it down for 5 minutes.
See, I've
go replenish and refuel.
This may be too much information, but I've considered on Super Bowl Sunday, never pulled the trigger on it. I've considered Depends, wearing some Depends because the commercials are so good.
It's only like 3.5 hours.
I know, but the compromise is I finally learned to put TVs in the bathroom because at the Super Bowl, the commercials are so good. A normal football game, all right, timeout, let's go to the bathroom, and I'll be back by the time they come back from commercial. But Super Bowl, you snooze, you lose on a Budweiser Clydesdale commercial or something. So I'm just saying, haven't done that yet. And as I get older, it may just be a necessity. Someday.
Yeah, you may already come prepared.
Yeah, Uncle Chris, we brought your Doritos and your Depends for the Super Bowl. Thank you, Sonny.
I put TVs in my bathroom. I'd never leave the bathroom. I just moved my bed in there too.
It's beautiful.
Mini fridge.
Yeah. Well, and now in the era of smartphones in the bathroom, you got nonstop video and TikTok for some of us, Dave Ayler, if you want it. All right. We do this at 6:20 and at 7:20. We do it throughout the day, in fact, on the 20s. Give you a shot at $1,000. It is the grand in your hand cash contest. You're going to get a keyword, and with that keyword, you go to the website of either AM 1300 The Zone or Ticket 760, and you can win $1,000. Why not? Here it is.
Here's your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Water. That's water. Enter it now.
Keyword water. Beautiful. Hope you win. We'll do that again at 7:20, and we do it 12 times throughout the day on the 20s. So keep on listening. Somebody wins that money. It may as well be you. Alan Green on Facebook Live says, I see food and I eat it. Anything on land or sea. Yeah, that's the old seafood diet. So there is that.
Congrats. You probably would have lived longer back in the days when people had to survive. They mostly went to fish.
Well, and now you must admit this, Shannon. I hear seafood is certainly healthier than beef and perhaps healthier than poultry. So, sure. I mean, if you're eating and don't they say that Obviously, Japan is landlocked, and there are these countries that seafood is a big, big staple of their diet, and those populations tend to live longer and have a smaller incidence of cancer and other,
maybe. But don't
issues.
act like if you're in America and you're only eating seafood
No.
that you're not putting butter all over it and
Yeah.
just completely, that all the health goes away at that
True.
point.
If you're in America and you're eating
All the sauces.
and
Food is just a vehicle for sauce here.
True. But hey, those Chick-fil-A sauces for those, we did this yesterday. I don't want to give Chick-fil-A too much love.
Which you can now buy at HEB, by the way.
Oh, really?
Last time I was in HEB, they had Chick-fil-A sauce for sale.
Nice. See, the first most brilliant, when they first started selling the Whataburger ketchup and the Whataburger mustard, there's something about that Whataburger mustard.
I don't have any other mustard or ketchup in my fridge.
Beautiful. You are a Whataburger Texas gal. Very, very cool. Coming up on the show, let's tell you what's coming. Lots to talk about the NFL draft because it's today. Ooh. See, I got all tingly. I want to hear a lot of that, Dave Ayler. Nice. Give us that one more time. The Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock. That's actually the pick is in. That's even.
Yeah, that's the pick is in.
The pick is in. Oh my God. We're going to find out who the Bengals chose with the 18th pick. Whoa. Fun. So we'll talk NFL draft. Tanner Carlson going to join us just after 8:00. He is the NFL resident freak and guru. James Allen of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. In fact, and since we're up against a break, we'll do it in the next segment when we do the high five play of the day. We'll tell you also after that what our poll question is, unless you want to go preview it on Twitter. But our poll question has to do with the draft and the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and we'll pose that question to our friend James Allen, who's on the board of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's going to join us at 8:35. Coming up in less than an hour, top of the 7:00 hour, Don Haas, that's his wrestling name, Haas Holding, who has always dreamt of being a wrestler, and he woke up one day, he was 345 pounds, he was in his late 50s, and he still said, you know what? Let me go to the gym. I don't want to give up on this dream. I think it's a cool story. He's going to make his wrestling debut this weekend, which is another reason why we need some good weather. We'll find out if that's an outdoor wrestling event. It's going to be in Castroville, Texas, outside San Antonio. So we'll talk to him about that. Kind of a fun, never give up on your dreams story there. Coming up next, the high five play of the day and the poll question. 7:00 hour, Shannon's Salty Shakedown, sports history, sports birthdays. I did mention, as we always do, we're streaming live video on Ticket 760 and AM 1300 The Zone's Facebook pages. There is a YouTube link to that. There is a Twitch link to that. We're everywhere. It's beautiful. And you can jump in on the phone lines. You are invited to participate in the show on the phone lines. 800-707-9760 would be the phone number. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. Dave Ayler wearing his St. Louis Cardinals t-shirt. I'm Chris. I'm all about the Astros today. With you till 9. Thanks for hanging. It's the Chris Duel Show. Clint Proctor. I'm Chris. I'm all about the Astros today. Jason with you live. Alan Green. Whoa, that's loud. Anthony Del Toro. John Williams. Steve Duraco, The Rock. Richard Flores. Hector Gomez. Welcome in, everybody, on Facebook Live. I'm going to heat up my coffee. And I'm going to get some ice baby for my iced tea. So I can just guzzle caffeine all morning long. Jason saying butter and seafood are totally healthy on keto. Woo. All right.
The first day I walked into the sinus and snoring specialist, I was looking for some relief. I did not realize how profoundly they would change my life for the better. Chris Duel here. Dr. Daniel Slaughter and his staff and sinus and snoring specialists. So many ways they can help you if you've got allergies, sinus issues, snoring. I have the whole full range. Well, they have addressed my allergies. I now know specifically I'm allergic to mountain cedar, ragweed, certain trees, types of grass. They prescribed natural allergy drop therapy, just 3 drops under my tongue each day, and I'm on my way to big time relief. And my nose, I found out I've got a deviated septum. It means the inner structure of my nose is a bit off. It's affecting my breathing, it's affecting my snoring. So I'm going to have the balloon sinuplasty here in a couple of weeks. It's a non-surgical procedure, helps eliminate recurring sinus infections, sinus head, couple of weeks. It's a non-surgical. It's a non. Couple of weeks. It's a non-surgical procedure. Helps eliminate recurring sinus infections, sinus headaches, reduces congestion and snoring. A 15-minute procedure, and it's pain-free. I'll let you know how it goes. You don't have. You don't have to live with sinus allergy. You don't have to live with. You don't have to live with sinus allergy, snoring, or sleep issues. Sinus and snoring spec. It goes. You don't have to live with sinus allergy, snoring, or sleep issues. Sinus and. Sinus and snoring specialists are here to help. Check out the website. Sleep issues. Sinus and snoring specialists are here to help. Check out the website. Sinus. Check out the website. SinusSnoringENT.com. SinusSnoringENT.com. And call them 512-601-0303. Check out the website. Sinus.
Let's put on what's called an act. That is shown off as what's called true identity, like you would say.
Check out the website. SinusSnoringENT.com. And call them 512-601.
Dirt piece of shiny gold out from a gold mine.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for the heads up.
Tree lined with dirt piece of shiny, sparkling gold. And girlfriend, and wine, the dirt piece of shiny gold from a gold mine. But you put on what's called an act.
I don't know if you saw Shannon's comment in the messages. Anytime you hear the draft and you want to play that sound effect, it's perfect. So as much as you want. Yes. Oh my goodness. Today should be a Texas holiday. That man, the quintessential Texan, Mr. Willie Nelson, turns 88 years old today. Shannon, there's another song we're gonna get you up to speed on Willie songs. If you've got the money, honey, I've got the time. Classic.
What does that mean?
What, if you've got the money, honey, I've got the time? It's like, so yeah. If you're buying the drinks, it's like if so, Willie's just saying, if you want to hang out with Willie, if you got the money, honey, he's got the time to hang out with you. I kind of like it. I like it a lot. In fact, happy birthday, Willie Nelson. A little bit later, we'll do our sports birthdays, but no birthday today can compare to that of Willie Nelson. Do you agree, Shannon, that this should be when Matthew McConaughey is governor, I hope he will introduce legislation that makes this a Texas holiday, Willie Nelson's birthday.
I mean, I'm always game for any extra holiday that I can get.
And if we legalize weed in Texas, we can kind of combine the two. It's Willie Nelson. Well, and we talked about that story not long ago that some people believe, and I think even Willie is on board with this. The high holy days in Texas should be from 4/20, April 20th, till the 29th, 9 days where you celebrate weed and herbs, and you culminated the whole celebration on Willie's birthday, April 29th, which is today.
It's a little self-serving. Especially when we sometimes get Easter that falls in that time range.
But as we've discussed in San Antonio, typically, if it weren't for COVID, this final week of April is usually fiesta. And some people call it Fiesta Week, which is not exactly true because it's usually longer than a week. It's usually inclusive on both weekends, which makes it about 9 days. So it's not unprecedented in the great state of Texas to celebrate with fiesta and partying for 9 straight days in April.
Fiesta is only in April, doesn't run through like Cinco de Mayo.
No, it's usually over. It's over before May 1st. I mean, for decades, that's the way it was. Now all bets are off.
But need to extend it another week.
You would think so. That would make
go ahead
sense.
And take up Cinco de Mayo too with that.
Yep.
So it is nice to then have that extra day, if
True.
You're not already celebrating.
Very, very true.
I'm looking forward to it. I have plans.
And so I guess Cinco de Mayo, Shannon, I guess you and I are not fluent enough in Spanish to do this show entirely en Espanol for Cinco de Mayo.
I'm going to be real sick on the day you decide that's the night where
we're going to now
come down with something. We're
going to move that now to 16 in September. Will now be our new target date. So, and I know AD and some other people are schooling at least me on Spanish. So
is that the 6th?
The 16th. 16.
See? Well, so bad.
I'm just saying.
I'm so bad.
I know. And you and I are poster children for teaching Spanish in high school and college. We both took Spanish, and I can't speak Spanish other than the essentials. Cerveza,
yeah.
¿Dónde está las chicas?
Baño.
Oh yeah, but ¿dónde está el baño? Very importante, muy importante.
Muy, yeah.
All right, we're going to work on that. But what we don't have to work on, because it's locked and loaded, it's ready to go. And ever since we've been doing this, I told Shannon today, I went like 10. The other day I did 25 minutes. I was behind schedule today. I only had 10 minutes to look through the news sites for some positive news in the world of sports or in the world of news and life and culture, and I found nothing. Other than maybe our good friend Don Holding, who's going to join us at 7:06. Luckily, Shannon is better at finding, so far, till I figured this one out. Shannon, you are better at finding positive stories. We do this every morning right about this time. It is time for our high five play of the day. It's even got some high five happy music. And when we talk high five, Shannon, you know what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, high five. And we were just talking about all the lovely things we can say in Spanish. Well, how about margarita? Because on Thursdays at High Five, margaritas are just $5, along with half price axe throwing and 3 for $5 sliders. So an awesome way to start your weekend. If you don't have draft plans and you'd like to watch it at an awesome spot, I would highly suggest going over to High Five. $5 margaritas. If I didn't already have dinner plans,
well, and you could also
I could tell you where I'd be.
You could have a draft beer at the draft, so it's like kind of a double.
If you're feeling like draft on draft day, go for it. And you mentioned that I'm not halfway bad at finding these stories. Well, I think we've been having to do a little twisting with them, right? I mean, we're taking stories and we're putting a shiny light on them.
Yes.
And today we're doing that with Kim Mulkey, because as we know, the big announcement over the weekend was that she departed Waco for Baton Rouge to become the new women's head coach at LSU, and we now know all the coin she's bringing in. We knew it would be a small part, aside from her going back to her home state. Also, her mom lives just up the road from the school, so she's also a lot closer to her mother. And I don't know how old her mom is, but I know Kim Mulkey isn't considered the youngest person in the world, so I would think that also was a very big draw for her. But Kim Mulkey, an 8-year deal worth $200. I can't read. $22.5 million. Wow. And that is all before incentives. That's right. If she wins the SEC, if she wins the SEC tournament, if she ranks at a certain percentage within the league, if she wins certain rounds within the NCAA tournament, that's more and more dollars into her bank account. Not to mention the vehicle that she can either be given or just $1,000 a month for any vehicle that she would like to have. I can't even imagine, because I don't know much about buying a car, but I would assume you could get a pretty nice vehicle for $1,000 payment every month. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Like Kim Mulkey, I don't know how much a Bentley is, but I could see her rolling around in a Bentley, especially if her pockets are that deep anyway. To put this into some perspective, because as a coach, she's still wildly underpaid compared to her male counterparts. But I wanted to highlight this because this is, women are finally starting to get a little bit more of their worth, because she was at Baylor for 21 years and brought home 3 national championships, and she is now just getting $22.5 million for 8 years. Chris Beard, who has had a great track record, and in part is why he came to Texas and was brought to Texas. Obviously, he made that appearance in the national title game with Tech just a few years ago, especially after losing so many of his starters. It was very impressive. But he just signed a 7-year, $35 million contract with Texas. And that is, again, before incentives. And with incentives, he could make more per year than our new brand new head football coach, Steve Sarkisian, which is almost unheard of at big time programs like the University of Texas. But Kim Mulkey paving the way for women in the coaching world. Big time dollar signs. I think they're very much deserved. I'm not sure what she was getting paid at Baylor, but I'm happy that she is being compensated for all the work she has put in and all the work she will put in while the head coach at LSU. Congratulations on signing that deal and getting it done, Kim Mulkey. I almost think we'll see more of her now that she's at a program like LSU, who tends to get a little bit more national attention as is, just because of the LSU and the Go Tigers and all that. What do you think?
Well, I think at the very least, and I totally agree with you, but at the very least, because of the SEC network and because it is SEC and LSU is a bigger brand, I totally agree. I do want to say this, though, and you mentioned Kim Mulkey's age, saying she's not, the youngest of people. It's so funny. It's like I vividly remember because I was a USC guy, and USC's women's basketball team, back in that era, the early 1980s, had Cheryl Miller, and they were winning national championships. And I still I remember Kim Mulkey was this point guard, blonde, pigtails, and very, I'm obviously very talented and very feisty on the court, just really very frenetic. But to think, if someone would have told me that female college athlete playing for Louisiana Tech against USC back in '82 was going to get a contract worth $22.5 million for pursuing what she loves, which is basketball, and in this case, as a coach. And you're right, it's a little ridiculous, and it is certainly unfair that as successful as she is, and she's easily on your hand, one of the top 5 women's college basketball coaches of all time, you got to put her in the conversation for all men's and women's college basketball coaches of all time. She's certainly in that conversation. So yeah, she should be making Chris Beard money, certainly, but hey, $22.5 million. Yes, she's earned it. Yes, that was a long 20-year tenure at Baylor, but good for her. And you're right. This is another in a continuing expansion of women beginning to get paid what they're worth, and she's worth more. I'll agree with that, but still a nice little chunk of change, $22.5 million over a number of years for Kim Mulkey.
Yes, and I don't see in this write-up of her $22.5 million 8-year deal that it has anything to do with the fact that she is going into the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame or not, she is worth every penny. So a big high five to Kim Mulkey. I hope you're house hunting right now. You're going to get the biggest one on the block.
Well, and you said this too, and when you said it, I totally get it as well. And Kim Mulkey said, "I'm coming home." You mentioned her mother lives just up the road from Louisiana Tech, and one of my reasons,
LSU, by LSU campus.
LSU, thank you, LSU. She went to Louisiana Tech in college, but one of my reasons, I lived in Southern California. I went to USC. I was working out there for 8 years, but one of the reasons I came back to San Antonio is my mother lived here, and I was the youngest child of my mom. She's now 97. I'm one of her caregivers along with my sister Beth. So I mean, and part of the reason why when I came back here, why I stayed in San Antonio was my mom's here. It's like, as long as my mom is around, I kind of feel like, especially as her youngest child, who can help her out if she needs something, it's good to be around there for your mom, especially if your mom is single and widowed, in the case of my mom. So I can totally, when you said that about Kim Mulkey, I can totally relate to wanting to be somewhere near. I mean, certainly we don't know her mom's age, but I'm pretty darn sure she's elderly. Kim Mulkey was born in 1962, so add 20 years, assuming, give or take, to Kim's age. So yeah, that's a good thing to be near mom and help mom if you can.
Yeah, I know a lot of people aren't big fans of the coming home narrative, especially when it was attached to Chris Beard, right? Because when he got that Tech job, it was "I'm coming home." But his true home and his heart apparently is Austin, where he was, of course, an assistant for that Texas basketball program under Rick Barnes. And now we've got him. And from one Hall of Famer to perhaps a future Hall of Famer, we've got our poll question today, Chris.
Yes, nice transition, by the way.
I'm a professional broadcaster.
You're really good at that. Yeah.
Which of these NFL draftees is most likely to have a Hall of Fame career? Our options today: Jamar Chase, wide receiver of LSU; Trevor Lawrence, of course, the quarterback from Clemson; Kyle Pitts, tight end from Florida; and Penei Sewell of Oregon, an offensive lineman who Chris maybe sort of
trade up, Jerry,
could go to the Cowboys
trade
to protect
up, Jerry.
The million dollar man, Mr. Dak Prescott. But currently leading the way in our voting is Kyle Pitts with 57%, followed by Trevor Lawrence, 28%, and Penei Sewell, 14%. Jamar Chase, no votes.
Well, and what I find interesting, in the voting is very early, but you would think automatically, because all the hype, all the buzz for years now has been on Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
But people not automatically saying that translates to a Hall of Fame career. And imagine I mean, Jamarcus Russell, we talked about him yesterday. It was the anniversary of the Raiders drafting him at quarterback number 1 overall. Sometimes these quarterbacks who are the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, who so many people say, oh gosh, you can't miss. This guy has all the tools to be an NFL quarterback. Sometimes these guys are, horrific busts. I don't think that's going to happen to Trevor Lawrence, but it is possible. It's going to be fascinating to see, can he come near to living up to what is expected of him?
Yeah, I think as far as draft picks, it's about the attributes they already have and their ceiling of where they can go, but their ceiling is only attainable when they're matched with the appropriate coaching staff and organization that is behind them to help them mold into the superstar that they believe they could be when they do draft them. And then as far as our voting with Trevor Lawrence, I think part of that, as far as the Hall of Fame, is you think of all the quarterbacks that are currently in the Hall of Fame, and then quarterbacks like Drew Brees, who just retired, and Tom Brady, who's still playing, who are almost shoo-ins for the Hall of Fame. The ceiling for quarterbacks and the idea we have for Hall of Fame quarterbacks is almost unattainable, that Trevor Lawrence is going to have to do a lot to even start to be compared to a Tom Brady, right? I mean, he's got to catch up to Patrick Mahomes first, who already has 1 Super Bowl ring, 1 Super Bowl MVP, and another Super Bowl appearance in his so far short career in the NFL, versus the Kyle Pitts, where you think of, transformational tight ends. Right now we've got Gronk, who, again, most likely Hall of Famer, Travis Kelce. And then a lot of people think Jason Witten, although Jason Witten was just more of a guy who just would always catch the ball 5 yards down the line.
Tony Gonzalez not that long ago.
Exactly. So I think for them, when you're in a position that doesn't always get highlighted, and then you're able to go out and do these incredible, amazing things, I think you stand out that much more. So I think that's why our votes are leaning more towards Kyle Pitts right now. And that's where my vote went. All for those reasons.
Speaking of the draft, we've got you covered tonight right here. See, it's like Pavlov's dog. It's like he plays that and I salivate. It's like, oh, the pick is in. Pavlov would have loved that for his dog, that little sound. We have Fox Sports coverage of the NFL draft tonight right here, right after the Mike Taylor Show, wherever you're listening to this program and the Mike Taylor Show, either on AM 1300 The Zone or Ticket 760. It's going to be tremendous, anchored by Fox NFL insider Jake Glazer. Fox Sports play-by-play announcer for the NFL, Kevin Burkhardt, former NFL cornerback Bucky Brooks, and 3-time Pro Bowler LeVar Arrington. Going to be a fun panel for coverage of the NFL draft. Coming up, a man who did not give up on his dream. A man who woke up one morning weighing 345 pounds and in his late 50s, and his dream has to do with athletics inside the ring. So he went into the gym, and that dream will be realized this weekend. We will speak with Don Haas Holding next. Don't go anywhere. Lots coming at you between now and 9 o'clock. She's Shannon. I'm Chris. It's the Chris Duel Show. On YouTube, Sippy's Sports Show says the Kansas City Chiefs will take Jabril Cox out of LSU. We will see if that is true. Also says Southern Miss to the top. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. Sippy's Sports Show. Ralph Balderas, good morning. Going to fill up my iced tea here.
are here to help. Check out the website, Sinus Snoring EN. We're here to help. Check out the website, sinussnoringent.com. And call them 512-601-0303. 512-601-0303. The Sinus and Snoring Specialist. The first day I walked into the Sinus and Snoring Specialist, I was looking for some relief. I did not realize how profoundly they would change my life for the better. Bruce Duel here. Dr. Daniel Slaughter and his staff as Sinus and Snoring Specialists. So many ways they can help you. You've got allergies, sinus issues, snoring. I had the whole full range. Well, they've addressed my allergies. I now know specifically I'm allergic to mountain cedar, ragweed, certain trees, types of grass. They prescribe natural allergy drop therapy, just 3 drops under my tongue each day, and I'm on my way to big time relief. And my nose, I found out I've got a deviated septum. It means the inner structure of my nose is a bit off. It's affecting my breathing, it's affecting my snoring. So I'm going to have the balloon sinuplasty here in a couple of weeks. It's a non-surgical procedure, helps eliminate recurring. In my nose, I found out I've got a deviated septum. It means the inner structure of my nose is a bit off. It's affecting my breathing, it's affecting my snoring. So I'm going to have the balloon sinuplasty here in a couple of weeks. It's a non-surgical procedure, helps eliminate recurring sinus.
What was that question you had for the wrestling question? Okay. Dave is calling Haas. All right, just if you just try a couple more times. He does it sound like him on the voicemail? Did he say it's Don? Yeah, he might be expecting the call at 7:06 if he's real literal. Let's see. I think he's talking to him. Okay. Yeah, it went to voicemail on Don, but I see him. Oh, or he's leaving the message. Okay. Yeah, I sent him a Facebook message. Yeah, try him again in a sec. I also gave him the hotline, so look at that as well, in case he's trying to call us. Draft day has arrived. Somebody cue Kevin Costner. Welcome in. It is the Chris Duel Show. I'm Chris Duel, along with Shannon Salty Sweeney, as we get you ready for everything NFL draft. And we can't remind you this enough. We want you to know where you can get all of your NFL draft coverage, and you can get that right here to this very radio station you're listening to, whether it's AM 1300 The Zone in Austin or Ticket 760 in San Antonio. We have the Fox Sports coverage of the NFL draft tonight, going to begin at 7 o'clock, right after the Mike Taylor Show. It is hosted by Fox NFL insider Jay Glazer. Also on board will be NFL play-by-play announcer Kevin Burkhardt, cornerback, former NFL cornerback Bucky Brooks, and three-time Pro Bowler LeVar Arrington. But Shannon, you've already told us you're at a birthday party tonight. Will you have the phone by your ear when the Cowboys pick at number 10?
I don't. Luckily, because I now know where I'm going, and typically where we sit when we go to this establishment, there is a TV that I'm available to look at. So
good.
I can have my phone for my reactions should something draw me to react in such a way that I feel like I need to let the world know.
You can go, oh my God, Kyle Pitts! The Cowboys got Kyle Pitts!
Right.
Yeah.
But I will be able to see the goings-ons, and the only thing is there won't be any audio for me to hear as I'm dining in this establishment, so I won't be able to hear the lovely Pig is In jingle. So I'll be less aware. I'll have to look at the countdown clock, unfortunately, which we talked about yesterday, and my disdain for that.
Well, you will. It's not your first rodeo when it comes to the NFL draft.
Right.
So I'm sure you will be locked in and multitasking, eating, socializing, wishing a happy birthday, yet knowing who the next pick's going to be. in the
Yes.
NFL draft. We'll talk more NFL draft a little bit later with Tanner Carlson. Also coming up here at 7:20 in a few moments, the Grand in Your Hand cash contest, another shot for you to win $1,000. But first, I love a story of someone never giving up on their dream. And even more important, I love the story of someone achieving their dreams. And when it comes to the world of sports, some of our favorite stories, the Cinderella stories you actually see happen in sports, or the movies in sports that we love, like Rocky. It's usually a guy or a gal who just won't give up and against all odds finds a way to achieve their dream, whether it's in sports or wherever it is. And our next guest is doing that, has not given up. And in fact, most recently just went full throttle on getting himself into shape so he can achieve his dream. He is Don Holding, also known as Hoss. Don Hoss Holding, welcome in. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Shannon. How y'all doing this morning?
We are doing great. And Don, you and I go way back, and I know you've always loved wrestling. In fact, you had a wrestling company. You would put on wrestling events that were incredible. I've been to them, but you always yourself wanted to be in the wrestling ring. Tell us a little bit about where you were a few years ago physically and what gave you the crazy notion that you could still do this in your late 50s.
All right, yeah. So, Chris, a long time ago, as a kid, I think we all have dreams of being something, being an astronaut or a professional football player or whatever. Even as a kid, I always wanted to be a professional wrestler. And, the cards get stacked up and, issues happen and to go on. In 1988, I was really one of the first wrestling schools in the Metroplex where I lived at the time. Was having a sign up for a wrestling school by a very popular wrestler. And so I said, man, this is my chance, And I went, sat down at the table with him, saw the school and where he was training at. And then he told me the price, and I couldn't even afford a $150 mortgage. I had 3 babies at the house, and it was a sad drive home because I thought my dream was gone at that time. And so, funny, 2 months later, I hired in the hazmat business. We know the rest of the story from there. But so, I kind of buried it, raised my family, and then, like you said, I became a promoter, and that was good. I think we did a lot of positive things for independent professional wrestling as a promoter, but it always bothered me because I felt like I kind of bought my way into the business and didn't earn my way into the business. Then my health got real bad. I shut down the company and did all this. And then one day I was squeezing into a size 5X shirt, and I said, enough. And it just hit me. I said, hey, I want to do this. This was 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, whatever. I went to the gym and I called my good friend Chris Marvel, who owns the Hybrid School of Wrestling, and I said, hey, this is what I want to do. And he goes, well, if you can meet the certain criteria, then come in. If you can hang in the school, of course. So I went to the gym and got on about a 6-month program. I lost some weight, and then I went to the school and made it through. And for the last 1.5 years, I have been training, and it all comes up to this weekend.
Now, is Hoss your wrestling nickname? And if so, can you give us some background as to how you came up with it?
It's funny. So back in the days of working in the hay fields and the cotton fields in Mayfield, Texas, growing up, and they always gave me, I was always a big guy, back then, and strong. Haul hay and haul cotton and whatever we do in the farm work, and I've been quitting, and all the farm workers started calling me Hoss back in those days, And they said I kind of look like Hoss Cartwright, work like that. So it's just a nickname that I had when I was growing up working in the farm fields.
Don Hoss Holding with us. We'll give you some information on the big wrestling event in Castroville this weekend where he will make his wrestling debut. But Don, you said 2.5 years ago you began this journey. You were in a 5X shirt size. How much did you weigh at that time? At your height, the weight level, how much weight had you put on?
I was at 345 pounds at that time, and I could walk 8 feet.
What? So 345. So where are you now, and how long did it take you to really see some significant progress in weight loss and in getting in shape in the gym?
Well, it took a while, but the initial weight came off quickly. When you try to change your diet and change your lifestyle a little bit, initial, then you hit wall, you gain a few, and you start building a little muscle, which gains weight. But right now, I'm at where I need to be at wrestling. I'm at 250 pounds. 6'1", 250 is a good wrestling weight as far as I'm concerned.
Wow, from 345 to 250. And I got to ask you this, Don. I'm a guy roughly your age. I'm a couple of years older than you are. And I'm like a lot of guys my age. I'm about 20, 25 pounds heavier than I should be. I try to diet now and then. I try to do cardio. I yo-yo. Sometimes I'll lose 10 pounds and I'll gain it right back a month and a half later. What you mentioned lifestyle changes. How did you change? What changed in your diet? What were some of the key takeaways that worked for you in weight loss and in getting into just better shape physically and building muscle in the gym?
Well, mostly, we have a good at Hybrid nutritionist and a cardio guy in the heart. I also had a gym here in Casper that I go to, and when I started that, basically it's just changing what you eat. You can't continue doing it at fast food places, and that's hard to do sometimes, especially if y'all take on the road, convenience. Take a little extra of reading some labels of some of the things that you do eat. The type, if you like bread, they've got a great organic bread out there you can buy. Eat turkey instead of bologna. Look, just little small changes. And obviously, the workout schedule. My schedule is I train 4 nights a week at the wrestling school. I'm in the gym at least 5 times a week. In addition to that, so it's a big commitment that I have to make to do that and maintain it all. So as you know, Chris, a guys our age, it doesn't happen as fast as it would have 20 years ago. So it's a continuous maintenance thing. Because if you stop 1 week and you ate fast food, you gain 10 pounds quick. It's a constant thing every day.
Don, I know it's not exactly wrestling, but these kind of YouTuber and social media star fights where they're, fighting former pros of some other sport or even just kind of washed up pros at either boxing or UFC. What are your thoughts on how big these have become and if you think that they're legit? I feel like part of being either a wrestler or a boxer or UFC fighter, half of it is what you do in the ring, but the other half is how you present yourself leading up to these matches.
Yeah, and some of the stuff, like I say, I think you'll see a lot of these guys, these older athletes, it's really hard to let go. And, as I say that, I'm 59, going to get ready to turn 60 here for too long. So, it's, these guys, it's just hard for them to let go. And it's more of having a spotlight to perform in, I think, than what it is. I think that's the hardest thing. And whatever we do, I think you look at even today, you look at social media, you look at anything anybody does, it provides a spotlight. We make this great post on the Facebook, well, we got a spotlight. I think that's what people from anything, from those types of fights that you talk about to social media to, there's a part of me, I know, like when I walk out of this, this Friday night, I'm going to walk out of this curtain for my first time as a professional wrestler. We anticipate 300 people at this show. That's a big moment. There's a spotlight that we get addicted to. So, it's that moment, I think, is what you're referring to, what these folks like is that moment of the spotlight, regardless of whatever it is, be it safe or not.
He is Don Haas holding, as he mentions, tomorrow night, Friday night, he will step into the ring in Casterville at an event put on by Galactic Pro Wrestling. The title name of the wrestling event is Back from the Future. And Don, Shannon was just talking about presentation. When you do step from behind that curtain and into the ring, talk to us about your persona. What kind of a wrestler will Haas be in that ring? What are you going to bring into that ring? What will the audience's takeaway be from seeing you in that ring?
You know, I'm Haas Holding, like I said, and I come out. I'm old school as old school gets. I got my cowboy boots on with Haas down the side of them. I got my blue jeans on. I got my cowboy shirt on. I come out my cowboy hat. My hair is long. And my motto is comping and stomping. What I really hope to bring is a style of old school, hard-hitting professional wrestling back. And I'll be the first to tell you, these kids today in wrestling are so athletic, flips and all these acrobatic movements and flying around. You're not going to see me high flying, I can assure you that. What you're going to see is a lot of hard-hitting, a lot of elbows, a lot of stomping, a lot of bumping, and a lot of physicality in that ring. And that's just who I am. There's a few very popular old school moves that I'm studying and working on that if I get them on my opponent and get a chance to apply them, I think that that's what will put me over the top.
Well, Haas, hang on just 1 second. I got a couple more questions for you, but right now it's 7:20. We want to do this contest real quick. It's the Grand in Your Hand cash contest on this show. We do it at 6:20 and 7:20. Do it 12 times throughout the day, wherever you're listening to this show, AM 1300 The Zone or Ticket 760. You're going to get a keyword right now. Go to the website that you're listening to of that station. Put it in there. You're in. You got a shot at $1,000 right now. Here it comes.
Right now. Here's your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Budget. That's budget. Enter it now.
Keyword is budget. Grand in Your Hand cash contest. Go put that in the website. Just click on Grand in Your Hand and you are ready to go. We are talking with wrestler Don Haas Holding, going to make his professional wrestling debut at the age of 59 tomorrow night in Casterville. And I'm looking, Don, at the poster right now for this, and I'll tweet this out as well. But the event, doors open at 6:30, bell time at 7:30 tomorrow night, Friday night in Casterville, Texas, 2374 Highway 90 East. What's the best, if somebody's listening right now and they want to see the event, Haas, and want to see history as you make your professional wrestling debut, what's the best way to get tickets? Just show up and get tickets at the event, or is there a better way?
Website, and they got a ticket link there. You can buy the tickets. We put back some walk-up tickets at the door. I don't know how many Mr. Russo has put back, but we did put a handful back. Like I said, we're expecting a huge crowd, and this place holds a big crowd. So we're good with that. And, you can go to the Galactic Professional Wrestling Facebook page. It's got a link there you can click on. If you can get through to my Facebook page, and or just come out here tomorrow night. Get here early and come out. It's a beautiful venue. It's a big beer garden. We like our cold beer. That's one thing, Chris, I haven't gave up too much. It's part of our DNA that males must have their cold beer.
And that is one of the things I have never given up as well, Don. I do want to, one more thing I want to ask you about, because you said, and I can imagine that, these young wrestlers with all very athletic, acrobatic moves flying around the ring. Do you know who your opponent is? Who are you? Do you know specifically who you're getting into the ring with and wrestling? And how old is he? And how different of a wrestler in age and in style will he be from you?
Yes, I do. I did know who my opponent is scheduled to be. And his name is Spartan. He comes from Laredo, Texas. A phenomenal wrestler. Just and very, very athletic. Some loose force type of athleticism that he can go. And man, probably in his young 30s, I guess late 20s, young 30s, he's been wrestling for a long time all through the state of Texas. Very well known. My hands are going to be full. I have a great deal of respect. I haven't actually met. I know people who know him. I've seen some of his footage to study to see his style, and he plays by the rules. He's a hard-hitting professional wrestler that's very athletic, and my hands are going to be full. So but I think I've got something for him that I was told, and at my age, pretty much any match I would go into, I'm going to be the underdog. But I would not have it any other way because that's been the motto of my life. We've been the underdog. We keep fighting through, and I've got certain goals of how long I would like to go as a professional wrestler, as long as my body holds up. And but yeah, me and Mr. Spartan, I look forward to making my debut against him tomorrow night.
Well, and once again, and I will tweet out links as well with this poster. But to recap, as Don said, go to Facebook, go to the Galactic Pro Wrestling Facebook page. You can find out more about this event tomorrow night in Castroville. Doors open at 6:30, bell time at 7:30. From there as well, you can get links to Don Holdings, a.k.a. Haas Holding in the Ring, his Facebook page. Don, I'm so happy for you. And I love a man or a woman who never gives up on their dream and finds a way to achieve their dream. You are doing that tomorrow night, sir. I'm so impressed. I tip my cap to you, and go get him and have a blast, man. Have the time of your life.
Thank you, Chris. And the final message, as men, we put our lives into our families and we raise them and we to our careers and make money to do all the things we got to do. And I think as we get older and we involve ourselves and then things involving our families, we tend to lose sight of our dreams. To any guy out there, to any man, never stop dreaming. We're never too old to dream. Take a look at yourself. If you achieve all your dreams in the mirror, then go after it. We're never too old to achieve our dreams.
I love it, Don, and you were sending that message loud and clear to a lot of people right now, and certainly tomorrow night when you step into that ring. Don Haas Holding, professional wrestler as of tomorrow night. Don, thanks for taking the time. Best of luck tomorrow night.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Shannon. I love the radio show. Beautiful work. I listen every morning, usually on the ticket. It's hard to make it on Facebook all the time, but I listen every day. I love you guys.
We love you too, Don, and we are honored that you listen. Thanks so much, man. And Shannon, as we say goodbye to him, I've had the pleasure. I met Don years ago through radio. I was doing news talk radio with Charlie Parker over on 1200 WOAI, and just one of the nicest. And knew this about him at the time. At the time, he was working in like hazardous material removal, just one of the hardest working, big, man's man, but one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I'm so happy for him.
So when you first met him, did you think wrestler?
I thought big Texas dude, a great sense of humor, just a great guy. But I later found out, and he alluded to this, he became a wrestling promoter. So he was putting on these events, and I went to a number of the events. Highly entertaining, fun, exciting. So it's just so cool to see him doing this for himself. I love it.
Yeah. You love a good living out your dream story, which we're going to get a lot of tonight. It's draft day.
That's right. Draft day. And sunshine will rain down upon the National Football League tonight with the first pick.
It's not Texas.
Of Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, I know. So a little bit later, Shannon, Tanner Carlson, and I will each pick for you who we think the Dallas Cowboys will pick with their first pick tonight in the first round of the NFL draft. But coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown, this day in sports history, sports birthdays, and more. We are with you till 9. Tanner Carlson talking NFL draft just after 8 o'clock, just after 8:30. James Allen of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Who does he think might be a future Hall of Famer among the first rounders taken tonight in the NFL draft. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Till 9, it's the Chris Duel Show. Okay, I need to save that. Beautiful. Thank you. Good morning, Beth Settle. Good to see you here this morning. A little more Willie Nelson coming back from Dave Ayler on Willie's. That is my wife. Yeah. Yeah. I have a sister named Beth too. So sometimes people go, okay, is your wife your sister? No, they're two separate, two separate ones. Okay, now why am I? Okay.
My name's David. My stepbrother is named David. I have a stepsister named Allison. My stepbrother David married a girl named Allison.
Wow.
And my brother-in-law's name is Joe. I have one male cousin. His name is Joe.
Could get confusing at family gatherings. Well, and that's why, when we're around people, I call my sister by her last name, her first and last. I call my wife by her first and last. It's weird for a guy to call his wife by her first and last name. Funny.
My brother-in-law's father is named Joe, so there'd be 3 Joes.
My goodness.
Whiskey River, take my mind.
Happy birthday, Willie Nelson. That is probably the most famous and quintessential Willie Nelson tune, Whiskey River.
Heard it.
Never heard it. It's I mean, every time he's in concert, he plays it. I don't know if it's his closer, but it's big. Well, now you heard it. Now you heard Whiskey River. So your life is complete as a Texas Longhorn, an Austinite, and a citizen of the great state of Texas. Today is Willie Nelson's 88th birthday. In a moment, we'll do sports birthdays, but we cannot celebrate Willie enough, in my opinion. Love that man. All right, a little bit later, very shortly, in fact, Shannon's Salty Shakedown. Top of the hour, just after 8 o'clock, we'll go deep into the NFL draft with Tanner Carlson. Love that song. That should be my doorbell. I can't get enough of that. I love it. You're going to hear that a lot beginning tonight. We will, Tanner, Shannon, and I will each select who the Cowboys will draft with their top pick tonight, whether that pick is at 10 or whether they're going to move up or move back in the draft. You never know. And a little bit later, second half of the 8 o'clock hour, James Allen from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, his thoughts on the draft and who might be a Hall of Famer. It's our poll question today. Among some of the top names in this draft, who might make it and have a Hall of Fame career. It's never a surefire thing for anybody, and sometimes the least likely people will have a Hall of Fame career. All right, let's get this party started here in the second half of the 7 o'clock hour as we come up on 7:39. Time for this day in sports history. On this day in 1961, ABC's Wide World of Sports debuted. And Shannon, this was like way pre-ESPN. There were no sports channels. There was no sports talk radio. A whole weekend Saturday show dedicated to the wide world of sports was a big deal. ABC's Wide World of Sport. And that's where Howard Cosell first emerged before Monday Night Football, among other things. A lot of Muhammad Ali and Cassius Clay fights on ABC's Wide World of Sports back in the day. On this day in 1980, with the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, the Detroit Lions selected Oklahoma running back Billy Sims. On this day in 1981, Philadelphia Phillies pitcher Steve Carlton was the first lefty, the first left-handed pitcher to strike out 3,000 batters. Speaking of strikeouts and pitchers, on this day in 1986, Boston Red Sox pitcher, Texas Longhorn alum Roger Clemens struck out 20 Seattle Mariners. 20 strikeouts in a game. This day in 1986, with the number 1 pick in the 1986 NFL draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selected Auburn running back Bo Jackson. He turned out to have a short but interesting NFL and baseball career. That's this day in sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Born on this day in 1922, George Allen, NFL football coach, most notably with Washington, now known as the Washington football team, the LA Rams. George Allen was the guy who really fueled that Cowboys-Redskins rivalry. It was George Allen versus Tom Landry, and Allen just fueled Cowboys hatred among that team and that fan base. He was born in Nelson County, Virginia, on this day in 1922. George Allen died in 1990. Born on this day in 1947, Jim Ryan, the first man to break the 4-minute mile, running a mile in under 4 minutes. He won Olympic silver in 1968, but his name will forever be remembered in track and field history as the first guy to break the 4-minute barrier in the mile. Born on this day also in 1947, same day as Jim Ryan, Johnny Miller, American golfer, won the U.S. Open in 1973, the British Open in 1976, born in San Francisco, California. 4 years later, in 1951, born on this day, legendary NASCAR racer Dale Earnhardt. I'm talking senior, born in Kannapolis, North Carolina, 7 NASCAR Winston Cup Series championships, died tragically at Daytona in 2001. Born on this day in 1965, Reggie Miller, Cheryl Miller's little brother, NBA player, Indiana Pacers, born in Riverside, California, Reggie Miller. And finally, born on this day in 1970, American tennis player Andre Agassi, who I think had a relationship with Brooke Shields, I think. Olympic gold in 1996, 8 Grand Slam titles. Andre Agassi, born this day, 1970, in Las Vegas, Nevada. None of those, though. God love all of those people. But it's Willie Nelson's birthday. So happy 88th birthday, Willie Nelson. Yeah. Did you just say overrated about Willie?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
And I believe it to be true. Just because you're the first of your kind doesn't make you incredibly amazing. I think he's a wonderful person and whatever.
Wow.
He has decent music, but overrated.
On his
all the
birthday.
shirts, all the swag, all the crap. No.
Oh, my God.
The street named after it, overrated.
I am aghast.
The statue, overrated.
Oh, my God.
Overrated! I do
Wow.
not care about Willie Nelson in the way that apparently I'm supposed to as an Austinite and as a Texan.
I grew up not liking country, but Willie, I loved Willie, and Willie exposed me to country and made me give country a chance. So from Willie, I said, all right, I'll sample Johnny Cash. It kind of opened up all these other doors for me. I just got to say, before we do the salty shakedown, and that was very salty of you, Shannon, on Willie's birthday, from a microphone in a studio in Austin, Texas, over the airwaves of Austin, of San Antonio, across the great state of Texas, and around the world, you, ma'am, say Willie Nelson is overrated.
Overrated. It's gone too far.
God, I respect your opinion. I just don't agree with it this time. I love him. So on that note, if you think that was salty, here's a little more. Here is Shannon with her salty shakedown.
All right, today's Salty Shakedown, all about the draft. A lot of do's and don'ts. But we're starting with a Texas shout out because, of course, not only do we have Sam Ehlinger in the draft tonight, we've got Joseph Osai, Sam Cosmi, Caden Sturms, Taquan Graham, Brennan Eagles, and Chris Brown. Hopefully, all of their dreams end up coming true sometime during this draft, and if not during the draft, shortly thereafter, as they get a call from a team to potentially make that 53-man roster. So congratulations to each of them to making it to this point. We know the odds. It's so very hard to even get to that D1 level and to play at a school like Texas with Texas across your chest. And now you're heading to the NFL draft where it's an even smaller percentage to even make that team. And just remember, no matter what you do, whether you're on that 53-man roster, you're on a practice squad, maybe you go play in Canada, maybe you decide, hey, you want a regular 9 to 5. Even though you can't visibly see that Texas, you need to act and carry yourself like that Texas is always on your chest because you will always be known and have the legacy as a Texas football player. So congratulations. And with that note, I want to play you a clip from Sam's little series that he has been doing. It's part of the Rated Rookie series. A couple of them who are in the draft tonight have had these little videos put out, and this one came out yesterday. His thoughts on entering the draft and entering the NFL.
Growing up in Austin and playing Texas high school football was incredible. It was almost like a religion. You know, you really have to sacrifice everything if you want to succeed. It was something that really was my whole childhood. I'm working on every aspect of my game. I know that professional football is a lot different than college football. And in order to be successful as a quarterback in the National Football League, you have to have different skills than it takes in college. And so really this period of time leading up to the draft and even in my rookie season, I just want to learn as much as possible. I learn what it takes to be successful and help any organization in whatever possible way.
I think that's the perfect attitude going into the draft, especially for a guy who isn't seen to be a first rounder or even really a starter. I think any team he gets taken to, he can find a way to work within their system. And as he said, learn and grow within his rookie year. I hope he's able to be in a better position, maybe even like behind a guy like Tom Brady in Tampa, where it's great coaching staff and a great mentor he could have in Tom Brady to work behind and potentially maybe work his way into a starting role in the NFL someday. So once again, congratulations to all of the Texas Longhorns who are hoping for that call this weekend. We are rooting for you. Hook 'em forever. I'm so excited for each of you. And I want to transition from that, from a guy who has great perspective going into this draft as a rookie, to a guy who we now know completely busted. He was a first-round draft pick. He thought he should have gone number 1. He was labeled the chosen Rosen in college. Mr. Josh Rosen, I want to play this clip for you from his draft night after he was selected 10th in 2018's draft.
I was pretty pissed off. I fell. 1, 2, and 3 went by, and just kind of went into a blur after that. I was really angry. Teams were passing on me. And I was honestly expecting to get picked at some point and have to fake a smile and go up and pretend to be happy. But for some reason, when I got picked, all of that went away, and it just went to straight excitement and relief. There were 9 mistakes made ahead of me, and I will make sure over the next decade or so that they will know that they made a mistake.
Oh, talk about something that doesn't age well. Josh Rosen, of the 9 people picked ahead of you, only one of them is no longer on his original team that he was drafted to. That is Mr. Sam Darnold. And as the moment stands, he is perceived to be the starting quarterback for his new team in the Carolina Panthers, who just traded, by the way, their perceived backup. So I don't know what your mindset is these days in your career, because as we know, you were taken to the Cardinals. And then they decided to take Kyler Murray. So you were shipped over to the Dolphins. Then you were at Tampa Bay as a practice squad member. And now you're at San Francisco, where there's murmurs that you may not even make the team this year because right now they have Jimmy G. They may trade Jimmy G. They may draft a new quarterback. Your future in the NFL has been horrendous. I mean, congratulations on the money you made, but for all that talk you did leading up to the draft and then draft night, he even answered the original call from the Cardinals saying, we are going to win so many Super Bowls. Dude, you couldn't even make the Super Bowl on a practice squad this year. What are you talking about? That's not the attitude we need from people tonight. Once you get that call and you're asked to go take the podium or do an interview, just remember that everything you say will last forever thanks to the internet. And people can have this moment with you 3 years down the line and look back and say, man, he really didn't see how his future was going to play out. Don't be a Josh Rosen tonight. Instead, be an Alex Smith, who was on the Dan Patrick Show and was asked about his thoughts when Patrick Mahomes was taken by the Kansas City Chiefs, for which Alex Smith was still the starter.
So when the Chiefs take Patrick Mahomes, what did you know your days are numbered? Did you feel your days were numbered?
I think there were a couple things. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're taking it. We moved up to take Patrick early, so I knew, no question. Obviously, the future was in him. I think for me, I was going into my 13th year, and I could either let this distract me from continuing to play good football, play winning football, and certainly there were a lot of, media distractions that try to pit us against each other. Or, I could choose not to buy into that and really not let it distract me from what I wanted to go do and continue down my road towards trying to reach my potential and play the best, football I could play, which I felt like I was still going down that road. So I think through everything I've been through is really me determined to not, essentially here, not let this become another distraction for me. And I think thankfully, and proud of the fact that, everybody included in that, Patrick, Coach Reed, the entire organization chose not let that be what everybody was trying to make it be. That it could be done a different way, that we could coexist, we weren't pitted against each other. And so, yeah, it ended up having probably one of the best years of my career, maybe the best, in the face of that. And essentially determined to tell myself that if I played good football, I was going to have a job, or I could let this distract me and not play good football, and then it would become this self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah.
Let that be a lesson to those who are currently in the NFL at any position. Anybody who is drafted tonight, just because they are drafted does not mean they are automatically taking your job. You hold your destiny in your own hands. You play good football, you will continue to have a job on a roster somewhere within the NFL. Be a good guy, be a mentor to those, because the saying goes, your team is only as strong as your weakest player. So if you are shutting someone out because they are in your position and you think that they are gunning for you, just because you help them does not mean that they will one day come over and take over your spot. Okay. If you continue to do you and work hard and do things that got you there in the first place, you will be okay. I love Alex Smith's mindset at the time. I love his mindset now. He will be greatly missed this year. He is such a leader. Again, I'm still wondering what he's doing with that backyard after he made that announcement. He's like, his kids don't know what's coming to that backyard. I still am looking for that. Hopefully we'll get that soon. But that concludes today's Salty Shakedown. The do's and don'ts of tonight's NFL draft. Hopefully, if you listen to this and you're in the draft, you just impart some wisdom on you, because like I said, all of this is going to be on the interwebs for forever. Don't make the mistake of running your mouth. Be patient, be kind, and take it all in, because this is probably a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that most of these guys have dreamed of. Some of them may not have even dreamed of it, right? Some guys don't even play football until they get to high school. And now they're at this big moment, giant stage. It's the first live draft back after the last year's pandemic where everything was virtual. So enjoy the weekend and the evening. And go ahead, Dave, give me that sounder. If your name is called, after you hear the sound, walk on stage, answer that phone, be on TV with those interviews with the biggest smile you could ever imagine, and thank your friends and family for helping you get there. And then go out and play and live out your NFL dreams, but do it the right way, please. And thank you. Again, that concludes today's Salty Shakedown, which is brought to you by Good Stock. This week, we're asking you to go over to am1300thezone.com and register on the contest page for the Salty Shakedown Ultimate Tailgate Package with good stock. You got ribeyes in there, fillets, strip steaks, all great meat. Of course, Nolan Ryan's company out there in Round Rock. All you got to do, head over, sign up, and you could win the Ultimate Tailgate Package. Great for tailgating out on the road, at a ballpark, or even at home if you're watching the game on your big screen. Again, over at am1300thezone.com.
Coming up, we will go deeper into the NFL draft with our resident NFL draft Rain Man, guru, aficionado, scholar, Tanner Carlson into the studio. He'll tell us everybody the Cowboys will draft, and then Shannon and I, along with Tanner, will pick which player we believe the Cowboys will pick first in tonight's NFL draft. Don't forget, the NFL draft coverage is right here, right after the Mike Taylor Show, the Fox Sports coverage of the NFL draft for you throughout the night right here. Don't go anywhere. 8 o'clock hour coming up. You're listening to the Chris Duel Show.
Sorry, John, not here to please everybody. Also, if you don't like Justin Timberlake, that's more for me. Y'all really butthurt about this Willie thing. Y'all must be from California coming in here and praising Willie like he's a godsend. I've heard maybe 2 or 3 Willie songs in my entire life. How am I supposed to like someone I don't even know? All I hear is Willie, Willie, Willie. Face is plastered everywhere. Ain't nothing bad by it. Just saying. There are other talented people out there. He's over too much hype, Jason. That's why. I was really butthurt by this.
I've been barefoot basically all day today.
Really? Why'd you get your feet soaked?
I had to trudge through about 1.5 to 2 feet of water just to get to my car this morning.
I had that thought because when after the Spurs game last night, my shoes got wet, so I brought another pair in case my shoes got drenched.
Look at you.
I brought another pair of shoes and another pair of socks
Oh,
because I thought that
my
could
socks
happen.
were done for. I mean, it was like they had just been in the washer and I had
Wow.
dried. Yeah. So I left them in my car. I took them off, left them in my car because I was going to freeze to death. Probably am still going to freeze to death how cold it is in here. But no, I was like, so I've been barefoot. I put shoes on just to walk through the halls and to get here. But yeah.
Wow.
My shoes are like, there's like every step is like.
Oh my goodness. Sorry that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, but mine last night I was wearing, in fact, I was wearing these like, they're like mesh shoes. So when these get wet, they're like, they get soaked. It's just, it's pure mesh.
Yeah.
And I was walking through puddles last night.
Yeah, these guys.
And yeah, that's wild.
Hey, Chris.
So, to simplify, as far as like a little minor friendly competition, we're just going to pick who we think the Cowboys will select first. So we'll have Shannon make her pick.
Okay.
And
if we all go with the same guy.
we can't. So what? So if Shannon says Patrick Surtain, you can't go with Patrick Surtain. Okay. And I know you like the horn guy anyway. So
yeah. Well, I mean, who knows who's.
So you're good with either probably.
I'll take the last pick. I'll let you guys go first, and then I'll take the last.
Okay, since you're the guru.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go last. So
That makes
I'll let
sense.
You take your next pick.
Okay.
And if it's my pick, I can jump on.
Hey, Chris. Get me in queue.
What I do because I've got 4 guys in mind that I'm 100% good with it.
Can you have Chris put me in queue?
What am I doing? Oh, get on the way. So I jumped on Charlie's show this morning.
Yeah.
And then I had an interview at 7:30 with another guy that I'm working on a story with. One lady's at the constitutional carry hearing at the Capitol today for the gun law stuff. And so I was going to speak to her before she went in at like 8 or 9, but she didn't answer. So I was trying to get on the phone with her. So my brain is, and then plus draft. So my brain is like in 5 different places all at once today. Oh,
Hey, Chris. Do you hear me? Nope.
Who do you want Jerry to trade up for?
Kyle Pitts.
Oh, you're still on.
I'm on the Kyle Pitts
still on the trade up
love
Kyle
train.
Pitts. Okay. I wasn't sure if you had gotten off or
I'd take Penei Sewell if you want to stock up the offensive line, but I'd rather have Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. I like your enthusiasm. It's fun. It's fun to talk about. Yeah, a buddy of mine, he was like, dude, you put in all this work for the draft and you need to like start a blog or start a blog or a YouTube channel and just talk about your draft stuff.
Actually,
he's like, dude, you put in all the work.
It's not a bad idea.
He's like, if you're sitting there watching guys anyway, and you're just doing it for your own personal gain, you might as well see if something can happen out of it.
Well, see, I was telling Shannon, I remember when Mel Kiper first started appearing on like the dawn of ESPN.
Yeah.
And again, he was a guy who just loved it,
Right.
and he made himself an expert. And it's like, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah,
If it's
content people are going to watch and listen to anyway, if you've got an audience, which there is.
Yeah.
Because people, when it comes to the draft, people like to be told people like to be told the information.
Yes.
Because there's so much of it out there.
Exactly.
They don't want to go through it themselves.
I agree. And whether it's the draft or whatever it is, if you're passionate about it, then
I just love the fact that one pick, the way I look at it is one pick could determine a decade of success for your team or set your team back 4 or 5 years.
it's a great point.
I mean,
say that on the air if you can remember that, because that's a huge point.
One guy can make or break the future of your team.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it. That's why I get so amped, and every pick is
Well,
so
you look at the
crucial.
Raiders picking Jamarcus Russell with the number 1 overall pick. And
Especially a quarterback. And then you get the Chiefs who trade up. Everyone's like, I don't know if Mahomes is worth trading up for. That was the thing. Is like, is Mahomes really that guy? And then
and somebody said too recently, and it's true. Think of if Chicago would have taken Mahomes.
Yeah,
it could have gone real bad.
Yeah.
The fact that it was Andy Reid and you sat a year, and it was Alex Smith, and
then you have Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce.
Yeah,
Mahomes wasn't a guaranteed success if he had gone to Chicago.
Yeah, and I always think about Tom Brady. Who, what if Cleveland took him? What if the Bengals took him?
We never know who he is.
Yeah, right. He wouldn't have lasted. It would have gone bad.
That to me is what the draft is. It's fit. It's going in the right system, right team, taking the right player.
Yeah.
And I think there are some guys that would have naturally been good. Like, running backs don't necessarily need a team around them to be successful. Barry Sanders, example.
True.
There were players that would be successful no matter where they go.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to me. But then you also think, what if Barry Sanders was behind the Dallas Cowboys?
Or the 49ers, who had like Roger Craig back in that era.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Then you look at it as, wow, what if he had a better team?
Yeah, he would have been.
He's already people. The argument I heard, people were like, all right, if there's an argument between Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders, just tell them, imagine Barry Sanders with Emmitt Smith's talent around him.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, that would be really fun. As much as I love Emmitt,
right,
it'd been really fun to watch.
True.
I think Emmitt even says that Walter Payton's the greatest of all time.
Well, and again, when it comes to that, I mean, it takes a running back to really appreciate another running back. I mean, who better to make that assessment than Emmitt Smith?
Exactly.
And, if he's being honest, obviously some would say, "Oh, it's me."
Now, Chris Duel.
It is not only draft day, but we're now at 8:06 because the draft coverage begins at 7:00 tonight. We're less than 12 hours away. We're less than 11 hours away. Our draft coverage here, wherever you're listening to the show, on AM 1300 The Zone or Ticket 760, right after the Mike Taylor show tonight, we are going to Fox Sports coverage of the NFL draft. See, I just that should be your doorbell, Tanner Carlson. Your doorbell.
That's my ringtone.
But it should be at your new home with your new baby arriving this August. That'd be
great.
That should be your doorbell for the rest of your life. Yeah. Anyway, just before we introduce Tanner officially, tonight on our draft coverage via Fox Sports, it's led by NFL insider Jay Glazer, as well as Fox Sports NFL play-by-play announcer Kevin Burkhardt, former NFL cornerback Bucky Brooks, and three-time Pro Bowler LeVar Arrington. So we have you covered throughout round one and throughout the draft, actually, right here. So Chris Duel show along with Shannon Salty Sweeney, Dave Ayler making the show go. And how many weeks or months, Tanner Carlson, have we had you on this show talking about the NFL draft?
It's been a while. We've gone essentially from when even the Cowboys regular season ended, which that was like, let's say week 14 when it was really over. But I've been studying the draft, getting ready for the draft since I realized the Cowboys weren't going to have a playoff season this year. And so I kind of started diving in then. So I've been preparing for this for months. We've been talking about it really ever since the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl. The day after I started, let's dive into the draft. Let's do this.
I'm going to worry about you after this draft ends. I think there's an inevitable postpartum depression that's going to kick in.
There's actually you get a good solid 2 weeks of studying each team's draft afterwards.
So you do get a good solid, like, all right, let me ease off of this
Do
train.
you give them an A+ or a B-?
I don't. Okay, so you can't technically. I hate grading immediately. I hate giving grades out until like 3 years down the road. You don't know if a draft pick's going to be good until about his third or fourth year. Until that draft class, their rookie years are done, because either half of that draft class isn't even going to be on that roster, and they're going to be contributing roles on that team, whatever the case may be. I mean, look at Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott's draft class, not just the Cowboys, but as a whole. There's not a single quarterback in that draft class that is still on that same roster from when Dak got drafted in 2016.
That's amazing.
I mean, you can't grade a draft until about 3 or 4 years down the road.
So, Shannon, do you have a gut feeling about the Cowboys? And most people want, we polled this yesterday. Most people want the Cowboys to stay conservative, stay where you are at number 10. You get a good quality cornerback in all probability there. Then there's also the option trade up or trade back. You have a gut feeling about where this goes for the Cowboys tonight?
Yeah, and the crazy thing, and you mentioned the shiny new toy. I mean, this is Christmas Day for the NFL. All the teams get their new toys to play with, and all the fans get a new player to root for and jerseys to buy. So this is Christmas Day for the NFL. And the thing with Kyle Pitts is you cannot allow him to fall to the Giants or the Eagles. That's the thing. That's worst case scenario. That's worst.
Yeah, if you've got to contend with him twice a year for the next 12 years.
Worst case scenario is not only do you not draft him, but you pass on him and let him fall to the Giants or Philly. That would be worst case scenario. Getting him is not, like I said, not a bad pick. It's just not something that's going to necessarily take this team to the next level. Offensively, sure, we can average 45 points, but we'll give up 50 points. Like, that's just the way I picture picking Kyle Pitts would be for the Dallas Cowboys. So but worst case scenario is not picking him. But if you trade back to somebody to say New England, and New England's going to take him, then I'm okay with that. That I'd be okay with.
Go ahead, Shannon.
Well, I was gonna say, I can't really think of teams that have ever taken someone in spite, seeing who's up next. Maybe it is an in division rival.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't necessarily need him, but he would be an asset. But I certainly don't want to have to face him twice a year. I'm gonna go ahead and take him.
Yeah. No, but I think you're right. I don't know how many teams actually think that way, but I'm not letting it happen. I'm not letting him go to New York. I'm not letting him go to Philly. You can take anybody else you want, but I'm not letting Kyle Pitts get away from me and go to the Giants or Philly. That ain't happening. You can take Fields, you can take Trey Lance, you can take whatever quarterback or wide receiver you want, but I'm not letting that talent get away from me and go to a division rival.
All right, Tanner. Now you have analyzed this entire draft. Yeah. We're less than 11 hours away from it, and you have constructed, if I'm right, and I haven't looked or talked to you specifically about this today, but have you picked for all of the Cowboys? Do you know everybody, according to you, at this moment, 8:12 in the morning?
Yeah.
Who you believe will be Dallas Cowboys by the end of the weekend?
I did a no trade Dallas mock. I mean, it's just the only way you can really go about it, because you don't know if Dallas is going to trade. So I did a no trade 10 through 238 draft for the Dallas Cowboys, all 7 rounds, and we can go through that whenever you're ready.
Let's do it now, because I'm afraid to run out of time with you. And before you leave, Shannon and I and you volunteered to go last. We will each pick, and nobody can replicate another pick, who the Cowboys will select with their first pick, whether it stays at 10 or goes up or goes down.
Right.
So we'll do that before you walk out the door.
Okay.
But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Cowboy fans in particular, the man, the soothsayer, the Nostradamus of the NFL draft and the Dallas Cowboys, Tanner Carlson, will now tell us who the new Cowboys will be.
With the 10th pick in the NFL draft, the Dallas Cowboys select J.C. Horn, cornerback,
Wow.
South Carolina.
Not Patrick Surtain, who most people believe they will.
I think there are murmurs, there are rumors. I don't know how valid they are and how seriously they're being taken, but Philadelphia has been taking calls or trying to move up, and maybe we'll try to get Patrick Surtain ahead of Dallas at, say, 8 or 9 and trade back with Carolina or Denver. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Philly move back up into the top 10 after trading out of it earlier in the offseason to try to go get the guy that everyone thinks Dallas is going to go get.
That'll be a fun little thing to watch tonight.
So keep an eye out on it for that. All right, second pick, number 44.
I love the music. Go ahead.
I'm double dipping at cornerback.
Nice.
From Georgia, Eric Stokes. I love this guy so much, and he's been a guy that has actually been really talked over by a lot of other guys. You know, it's finally like I studied him way back whenever, you know, the college season had finally wrapped up and is done with back in January, February. I finally dove into the Georgia corners because there's Tyson Campbell and there's Eric Stokes. A lot of people have Campbell rated higher than him, and a lot of people have Eric Stokes as like the 8-9 guy earlier on in the draft process. I had him as my number 3, number 4, number 5 corner throughout this whole process, and I think he is a possible first-round talent that is going to drop. I don't know why he's going to drop. It's such a cornerback-heavy draft this year. I think he drops, but I think you have to grab him. If you're going to grab him in the second round because he's not going to fall to you in the third. So you have to get him in the second. So I think if you get corner, first 2 rounds, your secondary's done. You're done improving. Those are your guys that you're going into the season with.
It's going to be it's a fascinating strategy and certainly a need for the Cowboys to double dip at cornerback.
Now, I think if available, Joseph Osai, edge rusher from Texas, if he is available, I think you could easily see Dallas go there at number 44. But I don't think
Shannon would approve of that.
I don't think
choice.
He will be available at 44. I think he gets taken before.
Really?
Yeah. I think I gave him a first round grade. I think Tampa Bay would be a good spot for him.
Will he be the highest drafted Longhorn? Is that the first Longhorn to go?
I'm going Sam Cosmi. I'm going left tackle.
Okay.
The left tackle from Texas. I think he's a first rounder. I think the Colts need a left tackle. I think they go with Sam Cosmi kind of at the end of that first round. All right, third round. I'm going to go with the 75th pick in the NFL draft. And he's going to fall to the third round because he's got a pretty high grade, but I like him so much I couldn't not take him. Jamin Davis, linebacker, going to replace Sean Lee. He's out of Kentucky. So mark down Jamin Davis as a name for the Dallas Cowboys. For the Dallas Cowboys, yeah.
Is it a move you made this week because of Lee's announcement, or did you already kind of have this guy?
I liked him, and I don't like Jalen Smith, so I was already looking at linebackers anyway.
Fair.
But with Sean Lee retiring, it kind of was like, all right, that is now a need. It's a much larger need than it was before.
Yeah, and we discussed that.
Just for bodies purposes, just for the number of linebackers on the roster.
And the three of us believe Sean Lee specifically did that this week. So to signal to the Cowboys a team-friendly retirement, you need to really address this position that I'm walking away from.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. And then second pick in the third round and the fourth in the top 100. So Dallas has 4 picks in the top 100 at number 99. Brevin Jordan, tight end from Miami.
Not exactly Kyle Pitts.
Not exactly Kyle Pitts, but the closest thing in this year's draft to Kyle Pitts. So I'm trying to make everybody happy. I'm trying to make everybody a little bit happy. Dallas goes corner in the first round, but they get their Kyle Pitts-like tight end in the third round.
Let me ask you this. If you don't get Kyle Pitts, with Blake Jarwin coming back from injury, and Schultz played well, is tight end really a need if you don't get Kyle Pitts?
It's not a need. No, it's not a need. But I think Brevin Jordan is also a kind of guy who's going to be a larger slot receiver. You're not going to use him for blocking. So you can do some 2 tight end sets. You can do something fun with him out there if you need a larger guy, or on run downs, put him out at wide receiver for a block or something along those lines. But you can kind of play around with. He's another weapon who's versatile enough to do more than just line up on the outside of the tackle and run routes from the tight end position.
All right.
In the 4th round of the 2021 NFL Draft,
you guys have the timing down.
The Dallas Cowboys select Brady Christensen, tackle from BYU. Give us some tackle depth. I'm okay with that. You don't know what you're going to get with Tyron Smith, and you don't know what you're going to get with La'el Collins. Hopefully, you're hoping for the best, and they're both healthy, but you can't go into the season with undrafted rookie free agents as your backup again, like you did last year.
I would agree with that. You need some help on that offensive line.
All right, with the 138th pick in the NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Milton Williams, defensive tackle from Louisiana Tech. So you go defense, offense, and now we're going back to defense here. Defense tackle, just depth. You just need guys. You don't know. Tristan Hill stepped up, but he also got hurt. Gallimore looked very promising at the end of last year. I think those are your number 1 and 2 guys on defensive tackle, but Antoine Woods he hasn't signed yet, or he may have just recently signed, but he was a restricted free agent. So you just need numbers and you need bodies at defensive tackle. So I definitely think he's a good rotation guy, or, just another body out there, another depth player for Dallas on that defensive line.
So you actually have knowledge of Milton Williams out of Louisiana Tech. You've actually seen the dude play.
I have
paid attention.
I have watched a couple of games of him, but I'm not going to say like, oh yeah, he's, a steal in the 4th round.
When they played UTSA, man, I had my eye on Milton Williams.
Yeah, this was where he was based on his ranking in the positions and where he's projected to go in the draft.
I'm just trying to find out how much of a freak you are.
No. I study up on some guys, but it's not like, yes, he is a 4th rounder. He could fall to the 6th or 7th for all I know. But, based on projections, he's projected to go 4th round. He's a defensive tackle. Dallas needs one. And that's where we stand. So that's from here on out. That's about what I did strategy wise. So who knows where these guys could go 4th, 7th. There's no telling after the first 3 rounds. There's really no telling what happens with a lot of these guys. So, all right, with the next pick, 179 in the NFL Draft. I actually do like this guy. I actually know who this guy is.
Okay.
So, sorry. Jonathan Cooper, edge rusher, defensive end from Ohio State. I only know him because Ohio State played in a billion games, or not a billion games this year, but they were on a billion national TV games with the playoffs and whatnot. So you get to kind of hear some of these guys' names. But Jonathan Cooper, edge rusher from Ohio State. I think Dallas could use, again, another depth guy. You're not using this guy to start over Lawrence or Gregory, but some more depth on the defensive line. And with I'm really excited about this next pick, 192. I'm really excited.
We're excited about number 192.
Puka Williams.
I like him already.
Puka Williams.
For the name Puka. Does he wear Puka shells?
He does not.
He needs his own line. We need to sell them online.
Puka Williams.
Puka Williams.
Best name in the draft, running back from the University of Kansas. He was the only bright spot on the Kansas Jayhawks.
He didn't play last year.
Yeah, well, a lot of guys in this year's draft. Penei Sewell, he's going to be a top 5 pick. He didn't play in this year's draft.
I am amazed that Shannon knows that Puka Williams did not play for Kansas.
He's a Big 12 guy. Big 12 guy.
Yeah, but I pay attention to the Big 12. I don't pay attention to Kansas running backs.
So Puka Williams would be obviously behind Pollard, but he's kind of the Darren Sproles, if you will. He's going to be your punt return guy. He's going to do some kickoff return. More of a special teams guy is what you're going to use him for when you're drafting him in the 6th round here, early in the 6th. So I like him as another piece to that backfield. You're not going to do fullback. Fullbacks are done. You get 3 running backs, Zeke, Pollard, and Puka Williams. I'd be happy with that backfield.
Have you ever worn Puka shells yourself?
I have.
Yes.
I was in 2nd grade, I believe, 2nd to like 5th grade elementary school. That's whenever it was real hot.
Yeah, that was the hot.
It was the
time for
and I also had like open Hawaiian shirts with like surfboards on them and stuff. I had bleached blonde hair. My mom sprayed sun in my hair so I could get blonder hair. It was
very nice.
Shaggy hair.
So the 3 of us have worn Puka shells at some time in our lives.
Yeah. I have a couple of school photos of that exact look.
Very nice.
All right, going into the 2nd pick in the 6th round, number 227. Taquan Graham, defensive tackle from the University of Texas.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah,
Get a Longhorn, Cowboys.
You know, and Texas linemen have always seemed to slide in the draft for some reason, and they've always played well. Poona Ford is a perfect example for the Seattle Seahawks. I think he was like a 5th or 6th round pick, and now he's their starting defensive tackle, and they just signed him to an extension, and he's making big money at Seattle. So I think Texas kind of has this defensive tackle mindset of guys that will go, you can find later on. They're diamonds in the rough, if you will. And I think Graham has that potential. Obviously, you're not going to draft him too early, but he has the potential just based on pedigree of what he could be.
All right, we're up against the clock.
Right.
How many picks left?
I got one pick left.
One pick left.
The
Okay.
final pick for the Dallas Cowboy no trade mock draft. Trey Norwood, safety from Oklahoma.
Oh, we don't want a Sooner. Come on.
Neville Gallimore, CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah,
I know, that's already too much.
But he's a good special teams guy. He'd be good on the special teams. You need a gunner. You need some guys on the outside making tackles. Special teams was a big hiccup for the Dallas Cowboys last year, and you need some guys that are going to contribute on that side of the ball as well.
I'm very disappointed the Cowboys did not pick Sam Ehlinger. I thought you were going to go with 2 Longhorns. I thought Ehlinger with the final pick, maybe, if he's there.
I just don't think they're going to go quarterback. That's the only thing. I just don't think they go
Where
quarterback.
Where does Ehlinger go? What round does Ehlinger
I
go?
would like to see him at a place where he actually wouldn't be far off from competing, like a Chicago. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing a place like that for him. And Tom Herman, he's got Tom Herman ties to Chicago, so who knows if they would be.
That is interesting.
You know, if they would, be willing to bite the bullet with a guy like Sam Ehlinger.
That's the Tom Herman connection in Chicago now is very interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Want to do this before you go. And we'll know the answer tonight. Shannon will pick first, then I will pick, and you're last because you are the guru. Whether it's number 10, and it probably will be, but it might not be, or if they move up or move back. Shannon, who will be the Cowboys' first player selected tonight?
I'm going to go Patrick Surtain.
Shannon says Patrick Surtain. I think she has an excellent chance of being correct. I say with the 4th pick in the NFL draft, trading up, the Dallas Cowboys select tight end from Florida, Kyle Pitts.
All right.
I'm like a dog with a bone who won't let it go. And that bone is Kyle Pitts.
And we went with my pick earlier. I'm going J.C. Horn.
See, we're all happy.
Yep.
Shannon would be very happy if it's Patrick Surtain. I would be ecstatic and dancing in the streets if it's Kyle Pitts. And if it's J.C. Horn, you're a happy man.
Yep.
And a prophet because you said it first.
I want to let it be known, if we go Surtain, I'm not upset. He's a very good football player. He's going to be a good, viable option for the Cowboys. If they go that direction, I wouldn't be upset whatsoever.
Tanner Carlson, who's been all over the media today, he did a hit on 1200 WOAI's Morning News to talk draft. He talks draft with us. We will see how well you did tonight on these picks.
Yep.
Well, actually, only the first round tonight, but over the weekend, we'll see how well you did.
And I won't be sleeping tonight either. So there's that.
Yeah, you got to reanalyze round 2 tonight,
I do.
knowing who's now available.
Yeah.
Great stuff, Tanner. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Tanner, a great follow on Twitter at Tanner Carlson 20. Coming up, who among tonight's selections has a chance or might make it to the Pro Football Hall of Fame? We will pose that question to Pro Football Hall of Fame board member James Allen, who joins us next. We're with you till 9. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney, Dave Ayler making the show go. It's the Chris Duel Show. That was fun. Thank you.
I'm like, no, I don't actually know these guys. I'm the very next thing. Oh, I actually really like this.
That was funny. I liked how you delivered that.
Yeah. Okay, actually, I really do like this guy.
That's funny. All right, sir. Enjoy. All right. 485 48522. Now I need to find that. Let's see. That is.
Chris, just announced in October, playing the Formula One race in Austin, Billy Joel.
Wow, that was just announced?
Yeah, about half an hour ago.
Where do you see it?
On Facebook, on Billy Joel's Facebook and on Circuit of America.
Cool, thank you.
It's probably on the website, on Twitter.com, Circuit of America.com.
And that just broke.
Yeah, about half an hour ago. October 23rd is the date.
Thank you so much for that. See, there you go. Touche. Very funny.
I'm sure they put it on their Twitters, but I didn't see it.
I'm not seeing it there. Let me try. Shannon, did you hear what Dave was just mentioning? Thank you, Santos. Is it too late? And no problem if it is. Is it too late to come back with some Billy Joel? All right, if not, don't worry. But I think it's kind of cool that it's breaking. I think it's kind of funny what you just said. I found that without Twitter or TikTok. Yeah, I just pulled it up on the site, so I've got information in front of me. Unless he chose some music to come into. I know he does that sometimes. Oh yeah, give him what he wants.
What we'll do is I'll come back to Billy. You can talk about Billy Joel real quick. And when you throw it to when you bring in James, I'll hit the.
Okay, we'll have to do it quick. 'Cause it's such a short segment, this last one. But okay, cool. Little Billy Joel for you with some breaking Billy Joel news before we go to James Allen of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's the Chris Duel Show along with Shannon Salty Sweeney. And Dave, you just told us moments ago breaking news involving Billy Joel, the city of Austin, and Circuit of the Americas. What do you know?
The Formula One race in October at COTA, October 23rd, I think.
23rd, I've got it in front of me. I just pulled it up at the site. He will be on the super stage at the Formula 2021 Aramco United States Grand Prix at COTA. So that's cool.
The Formula One race a couple of times, and it's always great fun. Elton John played 2015.
And Elton has toured with Billy Joel. Before we go to James Allen, Shannon, Billy Joel, cool or uncool?
He's all right.
He's all right.
Those shows, I obviously went to JT when he was there. I went to see Bruno Mars and, I'm a very superstitious. That was a great show. But it is very hard to get out there. If you gotta be all in when you're going to a show out at COTA during F1. It is a walk. It is a hike to and from. And when it rains, it's in a field. It is a muddy good time. But it says it's also his first appearance in Austin since the 90s. So I'm sure there's plenty of people that will be very excited from all over the world. It's a world event. Who will be excited to see Mr. Billy Joel.
Very cool. I've seen Billy Joel a lot over the years, dating way back to the 70s, and he always puts on a great show. Another man who puts on a great show when he joins us, and he's got his own theme music. Yes. You talk about music that gets my motor running. It's that. Little NFL music, little NFL on Fox music. Our good friend from the board of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, James Allen. Welcome back, James. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Chris. Thank you, the best stylist around, for the introduction music, and Shannon Salty Sweeney. Good morning.
Now, we've talked about this all week because the NFL draft is such a big deal, and it is tonight. Shannon's going to a restaurant. She's going to it'll be on the TV. She's kind of into it, but not as into it as I am or our previous guest, Tanner Carlson. And I thought about this, and I thought about you, James. We're gonna be seeing some future Hall of Famers tonight. I think one way or another. I think it's a good bet. Somebody picked in the first round of the 2021 NFL Draft will someday be a Hall of Famer. So it's kind of like bookends. I mean, you're involved on the other end of a player's career when they achieve the ultimate dream and become a Hall of Famer. When you watch NFL drafts, do you ever have that in your mind that we might be looking at a future NFL Hall of Famer?
Definitely, as you mentioned, I'm on the other end of the spectrum on pro football. It does enter your mind. However, I've been around the game a long time at various levels, and you don't know what a player's going to do. It's going to take 3 or 4 years. A lot of times they're in a bad program, and there's that. What culture you go into, what program, is that really a fit? A lot of players aren't the biggest bust you think they are. And so there's a lot to get through the first 3 or 4 years. Really, you really don't really start looking at anything until about year 6 or 7 as far as that. So it's really hard to, because pro football is the roughest sport in the world. I mean, I would argue bull riding, but as a team across the board, it's the roughest sport in the world. And these guys are gladiators, they're warriors. and that's why we like it. It's the Roman times. We love this combat and watching and other people do it. So it's with injuries and what team you get on. There's so many things that come into play. So it's really tough to enter my mind. I'm more interested in the pageantry, some of the tactics. Like I told you before, it's billionaire poker, and then the biggest wild card is guy from Arkansas, and now in Texas, Jerry Jones. So it's always interesting. I always like to watch what their culture is building, and how they're really playing for the future, or are they just being reactionary? And unfortunately, it sounds very nerdy, but that's what I look at from a Hall of Fame perspective.
James, Sean Lee announced his retirement this week, and he most likely not a Hall of Famer, but there is some discussion that maybe he deserves to be in the Cowboys Ring of Honor just due to his contributions that he did for the Cowboys when he was actually on the field. What are your thoughts of his worthiness, or does he just seem worthy because of the era and the time in which he played for the Cowboys?
That's a great question. It's always really dicey to answer that question because it's so hard to make the NFL. And most people don't realize most of the average career, even for kicker, I mean, it's 2.9 years. So number one, to make that far, Sean Lee deserves phenomenal accolades. However, Hall of Fame is not there. And the Hall of the Ring of Honor, it's pretty tough. I mean, you're looking at, guys like Bob. I mean, they are pretty tough on that. I think, unfortunately, the talent was there. But as we talked about on the preamble of this, it's a rough sport. And Sean didn't like sitting out. That's his decision. And he's a tough kid, young man. So I think that the Hall of, that's going to be a Jerry Jones, Steve Jones question, but it's going to be a tough route to get his name up there in AT&T Stadium.
Well, and I think of Sean Lee, James, and you've been around so many Hall of Famers and so many football players, and you played the game at such a high level at Texas A&M. You look at when Sean Lee was fully healthy. I mean, he would almost always lead the Cowboys in tackles. He had a couple of insane games, like a 20 tackle and a 22 tackle game. I think if he would have been healthy throughout his career, I think we might be discussing Sean Lee as a potential Pro Football Hall of Famer. I mean, it must be just so gut-wrenching to grow up and to have the discipline and persevere, and in his case, go to Penn State, find your way into the NFL, and just to have your body not cooperate. I mean, when I hear the name Sean Lee, I think injury prone. Sadly, that's what I think. But the reality is, when this dude was healthy, I think he was Hall of Fame caliber. That's got to be so frustrating to that guy.
I mean, here's one of those stories, right? I mean, I'm not trying to drop names. Howie Long and I were debating the best athletes ever, and in football, best athlete. And of course, Jim Thorpe always gets brought up on the front end. I said this, and Michael Irvin backed me up, and Howie finally agreed. Vincent Jackson, a.k.a. Bo Jackson. Now look at what happened to him.
Yeah.
That guy runs a 4.3 at 235 pounds. No one's done that. He's one of the strongest men to ever play the game. Could hit a baseball 500 feet, climb up a wall. Super athlete, just had a freak accident trying to gain an extra yard on a tackle. And if you look at what happened to him in the whole draft thing, he shouldn't have been playing professional football anyway, and he would have been a Hall of Fame, or he'd have been drafted oneself somewhere else different. But look at that. I mean, Bo Jackson is a physical specimen. And, so it's a rough sport. And that does happen. And there's so many of those stories of Sean Lee, and no question, Sean Lee was a Hall of Fame talent.
To bring us back kind of full circle here to the Hall of Fame and draftees tonight who could potentially earn a spot somewhere down the line. On our poll question, they were asking if Jamar Chase, of course, wide receiver, Trevor Lawrence, quarterback, Kyle Pitts, tight end, and Penny Sewell on an O lineman. Those are our options. And when I look at this, a lot of people are voting for Kyle Pitts. I feel like he almost has an advantage over Trevor Lawrence in people's thinking because he's a tight end instead of a quarterback. And when I think of quarterbacks, I think of guys like Brett Favre and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, who have set the bar so high. Do those kind of things come into play in Hall of Fame selection where they're compared to not only their current peers and the peers they played with, but the peers that are already in them beforehand, even though the game has changed so much throughout the years?
Without discussing a lot of things, I don't want to get into the heavy-handed confidential discussions, but under our leadership for a while, we're getting away from that, and we are gotten away from that, and that's why we started this whole thing about reaching back to people like Drew Pearson, Kenny Stabler, everything else. You really need to set the marker for your peers, right? I mean, Calvin Johnson quit because he got tired of what the Lions are doing with him. And a lot of people said, well, they should be a Hall of Fame. I said, really? Who's the most unguardable receiver? Well, there's this, really? I mean, he was double teamed, triple teamed his whole career. So yes, Shannon, it really comes to the people, your peers at that time, is really what gets everyone's attention. How do you compare Jim Brown, who was twice the size of everybody else, against Barry Sanders, who had the worst line, and Walter Payton, you couldn't tackle him. There's just so many variables and also schemes, right? Bill Walsh and the 49ers introduced the passing game to the nth degree. And so you're right. I think the Hall of Famers typically are not the quarterbacks. They are the linemen that people don't even know. And they're Kyle Pitts. But again, it depends what team Kyle gets on. I mean, we look at Tony Gonzalez. Tony Gonzalez wasn't even a tight end in high school, but he depends on your quarterback and what your scheme is. It's a lot of that too. So yeah, it's really tough because it's tougher on quarterbacks because they usually go to a crappy team. Look at the Carr brothers. I mean, the first Carr brother goes to Houston Texans, and he beat then Testaverde for getting sacked from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He said hiking, he had about a 1.4 time, and he's basically hiking the ball and getting smashed. So there's those kind of variables. And I'll give you one little side story. I mean, Mr. Manning with his sons told Eli, hey, you don't have to go to the lowly Chargers. Just stay out of the draft. You're a smart guy. You did more in football. It's not worth it to go high in the draft for ego and competition. I know what I'm talking about. And he listened to his dad. And he said, we're not going to go. And then, he ended up with the Giants. And if he'd gone to the lowly Chargers, you probably wouldn't even know who Eli Manning is.
That's a great point.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that go into that thing. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, the last thing I'll say, everybody's fast. When you get to the top 20, 25 teams, when you go to University of Texas, when you go to Alabama, Texas A&M, wherever I'm talking about 25 teams, in really Division I. But at the top 20 teams, everybody's fast, everyone's strong. When you get to the pros, everybody's extremely fast, and everybody's extremely strong. Now, you have those freak people. You have a Calvin Johnson. You have a Randy Moss. But like you said, Brett Favre, he wasn't even drafted. He was accidentally drafted at the end of the round by the Falcons, and they showed up and said, what are you doing here? We got the wrong guy. We made a mistake at the late rounds. True story. And fortunately, the Packers general manager, Hall of Famer Bill Polian, probably the best general manager ever to exist. Jerry, he's still there. I don't know if he come out of retirement, but said, hey, I watched this kid's film, and I think he's going to be a potential. I mean, look at Tom Brady. I mean, so Trevor Lawrence, and the point is, it comes down to mental toughness. You're going to be on a crappy team, and you're used to winning. You're used to being a stud in high school. You're used to being a stud in college. When you go to the NFL, it's the great equalizer. And the question is, what kills most people besides injuries is the mental aspect. Can you handle losing? And I'm doing a lot of stuff tonight for a lot of seniors, different high schools. The one thing I tell people to get on these all-star baseball teams, the basketball team, they're young, or I'm not going to mention one high school does a lot of heavy recruiting. And I said, none of the guys go to the NFL, because when they get to the college level and they go to Alabama or University of Texas or A&M or whatever, Clemson, and they're getting their butt kicked, they're not used to it. And there's a whole documentary about that called Achieving Perfection. So that's a long diatribe to tell you. It's how you're going to handle getting your butt kicked for the first time. Yes, Kyle Pitts has that. Yes, the lineman you mentioned, I think, has a better chance. Trevor, can he handle a college coach? No offense to Urban Meyer. They just don't do well. It's a different line. And when you're Urban Meyer or Nick Saban, or Jimbo Fisher, or whatever you coach we're doing, that's a lot of pressure. Imagine that times 10.
My goodness. So, James, we're up against it, but fascinating. No. I love it. Fascinating perspective. And in particular, Trevor Lawrence, going to be fascinating to watch him this season with Urban Meyer and the Jacksonville Jaguars. James Allen, love having you on, sir, from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, where he is on the board. James, enjoy the draft, and I'm sure we'll have some post-draft topics to talk about when we see where these guys land. Have yourself a great weekend. Thanks for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
James Allen. All right. So you mentioned our poll question to James. Shannon, where do we stand on who of the 4 of the guys we put out there who are expected to go very high, who might be a potential Hall of, or who is most likely to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Kyle Pitts still leading the way, but now with only 61% of the vote. Now in second, Penny Sewell.
Wow. Trevor drops to third.
Trevor drops to third with 15%, and Jamar Chase, nobody's believing in that guy. No votes.
Yikes. No votes. Some people just throw a vote away just because they know he's not going to get a vote, but wow. Well, Shannon, enjoy it's your sister's birthday party tonight, right?
Yes, it is.
Happy birthday to your sister, even though it's a little early from what I hear.
Thank you.
And enjoy, please do. Thank you. Enjoy looking across the restaurant to the television screen to track the draft.
If it's not on, I will be speaking to the wait staff asking for them to change it.
Absolutely.
I'm not above that.
No. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to your report tomorrow.
On TV.
Yes. Our thanks. Thank you so much, Shannon. Our thanks to wrestler Hoss Holding. Best of luck to him tomorrow night, his wrestling debut in Casterville. Tanner Carlson, his picks are in. James Allen of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Thanks to Dave Ayler for breaking the Billy Joel at Coda news. We'll know a lot more about the first round tomorrow in 21 hours. We'll talk all about it on the Big Friday show. Thanks for being with us. Have a great Friday. Adios.